Come on guys, let's learn config maps and secrets in Kubernetes today. In any application, we have two kinds of data. One is application data, another one is the configuration data. We have to store this configuration data separately from the application code. For that, we can use config maps and secrets in Kubernetes. To store the sensitive data, you can use secrets, and for other non-sensitive data, you can use config map. Let's see these two in action now. Let's create the config map from the command line. So for that, I can run kubectl create config map config map. Then the config map name, I can give my config. Then I have to give the config map data. In command line, to give the config data, I can give the from -- from literal. Then I have to give the key value pair. For example, I can give app mode equal to production. So app mode is the key and the production is the value. Then if you want to store one more config data, then you can give same flag called as from literal. Then for example, log level equal to debug. Like this, I can give multiple data here. Let's run this command now. Config data is created now. To get the config map, I can run the command kubectl get config map, then the config map name, then -o, and the format I can give YAML format. So this will give the config map data like app mode is production, log level is debug. So like this, we can create the config map from the command line. Instead of CLI, we can use the YAML file. Instead of the CLI, we can use the YAML file to define the config map. Let's create a YAML file pi config map dot YAML. So in the YAML file, I can define API version, that is v1. Then kind is the resource I am going to create. I am going to create config map. So kind is config map. Then in metadata, I can just give a name for this particular config map. Then the actual config map data. I'm going to store two configurations. One is the app mode, that is dev, and log level is error. Let's save this YAML file now. Then I can run kubectl apply -f config map.yaml. So now my config dev is created. If I run kubectl get config map, and the config map name is my config dev, I get all the details here. So my config dev is created now. Then how to use this config map with that pod? For that, I am going to create one more YAML file now. So vi pod config.yaml. So in the YAML file, I can define AKMS, API version is v1, and the kind is I am going to create a pod. Name is provided in the metadata, and in the spec, I am going to define the container. For the container, I am going to use the nginx image. Then the main part, I am going to use the environment variables here. And for the environment, I am going to get the values from the config map data. I'm going to use two environment variables. One is app mode and another one is log level. And for app mode environment variable, I'm going to use app mode config key. And for log level environment variable, I'm going to use the log level config map key. And I'm going to use my config map. So that is the YAML file. Let's save this YAML file now. Let's run kubectl apply now. Kubectl apply -f pod -config. This should create the pod now. If I run kubectl get pods. So this pod is running now. Now let's check the environment variable of this particular pod. For that, I will just run kubectl exec command. Kubectl exec -id. Then the pod name, that is config map -pod. Then I can just run --print env. Then I can just grep this command, grep app mode. If I run this now, I have to give the space here actually. I get one more error related to the terminal now. This is because I am using the Windows. I can just run winpty for that. Let's run this now. I got one more error. So I will just remove -it because interactive mode is not required. And winpty also I can remove. If I run this now, I get the config map data here. App mode is production. So app mode environment variable is taking the data from the config map. Similarly, I check for the log level. So log level environment variable is also taking the data from the config map only. So this is how we can use the config map with the pod. Let's create the secret now. For that, I can run kubectl create secret. Then the secret type I can give generic. Then the secret name I can give my secret. Then similar to config map, I have to give the key value pair now. So from CLI, I have to give from literal. Then for example, I want to store the DB password. For that, the key will be DB password equal to, then the password, for example, ABCD. Let's run this command now. So it created a secret, my secret now. Then I can run kubectl get secret, and the secret name, that is my secret, and the output format to the YAML file. So I get the DB password, but it will be in the base64 encoded format because it's the secret and it is the sensitive data. For the verification, I can just decode this particular data also. You can see once I decode the data, I will get the actual password, that is ABCD. Then similar to configmap, I can create the secret from the YAML file also. So va secret.yaml. Here API version is v1 and the kind is secret. I am going to create the secret Kubernetes resource, and in metadata I am going to give the name for this particular resource. Then the type of the secret will be opaque here. Then the data is db password and it will be base64 encode. Let's save this YAML file now. Then run kubectl apply -f secret.yaml. You will get the warning, but my secret is configured. And if I run this command now, I will get base encoded data here. Now let's use the secrets in the pod. For that I am going to create the pod with secret YAML file. So in the YAML file, API version is v1 and the kind is pod. The metadata I am going to give the pod name. Then in the specifications, I'm going to define the containers. I'm going to use the nginx image and I'm going to create an environment variable db password. And I'm going to get the data from my secret. The key will be db password. Let's save this YAML file. Now if I run kubectl apply -f and the pod secret.yaml, the pod is created now. And if I run kubectl get pods, secret pod is created and running. Then I can run kubectl exec command to print the environment variable, and I'm going to grab the db password environment variable. I will get the db password here, and it is taking the data from my secret. We have mounted the config map and secrets as an environment variable till now. Also, I can map those as files. Mounting as files is nothing but the mounting as volume. Let's mount the config map first. For that, I can create a file cm or config map as volume.yaml. So here instead of environment variable, I'm going to use volume mounts. The name of the volume is config volume and the mount path is the file path. File path is etc config. And in volume, I am going to use the my config map. Let's save this YAML file now. Let's run kubectl apply now. Kubectl apply -f cm volume.yaml. So one more pod is created now. To verify that, I can run kubectl exec, and in the pod I'm going to cat this particular file path. I'm running this Windows, that's why I'm giving a double slash here. Otherwise you just use the single slash. Let's run this now. So I get the value here. So config map I can mount as the environment variable as well as the files. Similarly, I can mount the secret as volume also. For that I can create a file first, secret volume.yaml. Here also same, I am going to use the volume mounts and the volume mount name is secret volume, and I'm going to mount the secret to the etc/secret mount path, and I'm going to use this particular secret. Let's save this YAML file now. Then I can run kubectl apply -f secret volume.yaml. So here kubectl. So pod is created now. Now if I exec this particular pod and cat this particular file path, I will get the secret value here. So this is how I can mount the secret as a volume. So that's it. We have learned about the config map and secrets today. We created both config maps and secrets via CLI, then via YAML file, then how to use those with the pods via environment variable as well as mounting as files. So subscribe and check out other videos too. Keep learning.